How's off season been going?
It's been really good.
Yeah.
It is probably my first off season. Having a full off season and being healthy out the gate where I can go and just train how I want to. Really since, the end of 2020 going into 21 was the last time I had a full off season. And so having that's been great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't you can't put enough value on just that time and the preparation it takes to get your body right to go make this push.
Yeah, well, to put in context, what people don't realize is when you're banged up in an off season, you're not getting better. You're trying to get to where you were at, and the league is so smart that you have to reinvent yourself every off season because there's film of how you've played the year before. So it really takes a hamper in like your off season gains.
Yes.
When you're hurt. Because you're trying to get to zero.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You're not putting anything on top. So
I've spent the last 4 years training with the same group.
Yeah.
Had the same trainer who actually this off season was hired by Atlanta. So thanks to Raheem for taking my trainer who can no longer program for me. He's playing level 501 ball over there in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Draft analysts might would say something different, but we'll move past that. We're going to talk about that right now. But
they took him over Bill.
Yeah, they did.
It's crazy.
But what I was touching on was the off season.
Yeah,
we're getting on these rabbit trails. Off season. I've been training with these guys for 4 years. When you get to the end of the season, you go back and you hit your baseline that first week, right? And it's like you don't realize how much your body breaks down through the course of a season. Where that off season you start so far from where you went into the season because there's just no way. Like you try to maintain things as you go.
Yeah.
It's dang near impossible. You play these long seasons, and your body's so broken down. There's so much just to build up, like you said, just to get back to where you were physically, and then all the armor you got to put on to prepare yourself, all the conditioning, the things you got to do to create some change in your body to be able to take the adaptation from this off season going into OTAs and say, okay, now we're gonna grind through OTAs. Then you get 1 month to basically gear up for training camp in a 17-game season.
Yeah.
Plus playoffs. And so it's a big deal. But yeah, man, I feel really good.
That's awesome. Now, what are some of the point of emphasis you have going into this offseason to your game? Now that you're healthy, you can self-scout, you can check out what you need to work on. What's some of the things that you are trying to get better at?
Yeah, I mean, I think the same mantra into every year. It's the bigger, faster, stronger. I think the mobility side of things has been a huge piece. Just being like coming off of the ankle surgery a couple of years ago, things that come out of that. I mean, I think you get hurt, and especially something as low to the ground as an ankle, how it affects things up the chain. And you start compensating, and once your body starts compensating, things start tightening, things start loosening. There's just you want to get your body back into balance and moving the way it's supposed to, because I think professional athletes, we are professional at compensating and working through injury. When you do that, your body's that's not optimum.
Right? So it leaves you vulnerable to get hurt.
Exactly. And so it's pulling back and finding what that optimum is again. That's been the big focus just in terms of how I want my body to work. And then, in terms of, skill-wise, as you're moving through into the technical side of the game, there's so much that you want to, you watch film and I think every year you look back and you're like, oh man, there's just so much you can do better. So many things, so many details that you can press yourself on, and what kind of tools can you add to your tool belt as counters to what worked? Like what worked? How are people going to stop it? How do I counter that?
Yeah, and you're in the point of your career where you could watch film and you can go practice off a specific look of how it may not have went your way, and you could put that and play that game in your mind, and you're probably at the point where you're running routes.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
you're running routes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean.
You get better playing football.
Yep, exactly. I mean, I think there's a few different steps to that. It's like the visualization side of things of where you're like, I know my wife knows I'm laying in bed and suddenly I'll just be like, pow, I flinch out. I was like, okay, what were you doing there? Like, what was happening? Like, yeah, I got to take it. I was running this route. The safety was driving down. It's real. It's like you get to this point where you're visualizing things to the point where your body is like reacting to it, and you're going. You take the next step, and now we're OTAs. We're running routes on air, and we don't run routes on air just to run routes on air. Like there's an intent behind what you're doing. You're seeing, hey, this is how this DB is playing us. Let's run this route and talk to Matthew. Hey, let's is 3 carry, it's a tight carry outside. Like, how do we want to run this route on this one? What angles are we coming out at? So now you're running routes on air and you're visualizing these things. So now when it does come time that you're competing, you've seen that. You've seen it. You've visualized it. You've felt all those steps that you're going to take. You've seen how he's going to play and react to each move you're going to do. At that point, once you're playing the game, it's like, man, I've taken this rep over and over and over again already.
You know what we used to call that? Deja vu. You practice so much, once you do in the game, it's like deja vu.